Hi, my name is Dean Haspiel, and welcome to Splash Pages.
So the only thing left to say, of course, is the one obvious thing.
Hey, happy Tuesday, everybody. You are watching Splash Pages. My name's Leo. I'm the monkey behind the keyboard here. We have an awesome show scheduled for you as always. And with us, we have Carrie. How's it going?
Hey, it's going great, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Hello. Hi, Tom Dog. I believe it's Friday up there. And yes, our song is exciting. We jam out to it behind the scenes. You can't really see us, but Leo every now and then records us and does embarrassing things to us. Tonight I have Red Tusker drinking some Screwball peanut butter whiskey because it just seemed right to get all screwy tonight with Dean Haspiel. So let's go see how Drew's doing.
It's nice to see Radagaskar is out of jail, too, from stealing the wallet.
Yeah. Brian was forgiving. We found it eventually. It had fallen underneath one of the cans of craft beer that we got him, and he'd tossed it over to the side, and yeah. It was discovered and recovered, and everything's okay. He's a little rascal, but he's back out again.
Mr. Drew.
It's just a fucking squirrel. I don't know what you're telling about. All right. Hey, everybody. It's Splash Pages. I don't know. You know what? It's us. You know why you're here. You've accepted your fate. Thank you for joining us. But back to Carrie, because Carrie's going to introduce our guest, because she already revealed who it is. So.
Well, I mean, the bumper kind of did as well. But no, tonight, I mean, just maybe. Tonight we have on an awesome guest. We have Dean Haspiel. He is a comic book writer, a playwright, an artist. He's created Billy Dogma, The Red Hook. He's worked on Fox. He's just done a bunch of shit, and he's created my favorite new character, who is going to be the first person that I ever cosplay, the Coney. And so he's got a whole bunch of new stuff coming up right now. So let's meet him, Mr. Dean Haspiel.
Hello, how are you?
Hey.
You know, I wanted to say something. You called your squirrel a rascal, right?
Yes, I did. That was intentional.
So the Red Hook actually stole his name from another character named the Red Hook in my own comic series, because he was formerly known as the Rascal.
Yes.
It's for like 6 pages or something like that. So, and I've always loved that term. I always thought that who coined the name? Oh, I worked on a comic book. Famous writer, Pulitzer Prize winning writer, Cavalier and Clay. What's his name? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Y-
James?
a lot of people.
Harvey
He-
No, not Harvey
Pekar.
Pekar.
Harvey
Cavalier and
Pekar.
Clay was like a giant novel about comics, and I'm forgetting his name right now. And then Dark Horse published a series called The Escapist, and created by this guy. And then a lot of writers and artists would do their interpretations of The Escapist, including Carrie. I did a story with Harvey Pekar of The Escapist, but I also
Mhm.
drew a character he did called Luna Moth, and Diana Schutz was the editor. And we were going for that old Marvel style where Stan the Man Lee, Jack King Kirby. So
Mhm.
I was Dean the Rascal Haspiel, even though
Nice.
Rascal and Haspiel is a little bit of a fudge, but I always love that term. So I'm pretty fond of that word.
Was it?
Michael Chabon.
Yep.
Michael Chabon, that's right. That's right.
Damn
Beat
it,
me
I was
to it, Carrie.
I was just about to do it too. I just wasn't sure.
Everybody's like, we got it. We're on it.
Internet, quick.
The internet
People
is very.
look at you. And
The
I'm
internet is very-
one-handed. So,
That's
Well,
true.
and as you know, Dean, everything on the internet is true.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
True.
Absolutely. So Dean, if I can start, there was something in your history that I kind of wanted to touch on. In the 80s, you worked with Upstart Associates, right? Which was
Yes.
a studio space, and you worked with some, you know, icons in comics. You were an assistant for Howard Chaykin while I was doing American Flag.
American
You
flag.
worked with Walt Simonson on Thor, and for a different studio, you were even working with Bill Sienkiewicz on New Mutants and Elektra Assassin.
Yep.
Um,
And I love that you said Sienkiewicz, because that's what we all said when we didn't know how to say his name, which is Sienkiewicz.
okay, cool. Thank
But
you for
hey,
correcting me.
it's a
Totally
learning
10
moment,
minutes
a
in.
teachable moment right now. We're
I know
learning.
you're doing great. Is there? I mean, you're working with these greats as they're working on stuff that they're going to be extremely associated, well known with. Are there any stories you could share? Like, were you part of the process? Did you make like a suggestion that became comic book history? Like anything like that?
Well, I remember when Walt was working on Thor and he wanted to bring an animal into the fray, and he wanted to be a pig that would become Thor. And I said, no, it should be a frog. I think you should make a frog Thor. I'm kidding. I
Oh.
totally lied about that. No,
Oh,
I do have a story though.
I know. I almost believed him. I was like, oh my god, I love Frog Thor. That's one of my.
Frog
It's
Thor's
one
the
of
best.
it's one of the silliest, dumbest moments in Walt's Thor run, and it's just like this shouldn't work, but it really does, and I really
It,
want to see it.
it totally does.
It
No,
totally does.
two things. One, I knew at the time in 1985, I knew how great these cartoonists were and how great the comics they were producing at that time were. And I can't believe that I was allowed to grace any of those backgrounds that I either
Mhm,
erased, drew, filled in the blacks, whatever it was. I remember taking pages of the New Mutants home with me on the train, like
mhm.
with gold in my hands, basically, right?
Right.
And these were the issues where they went inside actually Legion, is that his name? You were talking about Legion before. Isn't that Professor X's son, his name?
Yep.
Legion,
Uh,
right?
yeah,
I
David
think so.
Haller. Yeah, the one who has like multiple different
Yeah,
mutant personalities with different powers. Yeah, it's Legion.
and tall hair and all that stuff. And so anyway,
Mhm,
they were going inside his mind, and at the time, Bill was influenced somewhat on Howard Chaykin. Howard Chaykin was using craft tint to do kind of like a gray tone that was on a certain kind of paper that had film on it, and you would develop it with film developer, and it was already in a blue line, like a
mhm,
dot matrix that you could get. And that's when, if you look at any of the American flag art, you'll see like a tone that's like a dot matrix. So that was the
mhm,
paper that Howard was using. But then Bill wanted to use a crosshatch, either lines or crosshatch lines, depending on the
mhm,
developer. So we were inside, Professor X's kid's mind. It was all fractured and like broken, splintered
right.
kind of cityscapes. So
Right.
he would kind of indicate, or I would just draw some stuff in the background, and then I would do some craft tint. And I was so worried that I was messing it up. I was like, first of all, I draw nothing like Bill, right?
Right.
I was more leaning toward, well, I'm influenced more like by Jack Kirby or CC
Mhm,
Beck or Steve Ditko, Will Eisner, even like
right.
Frank. a little bit, right? But
Mhm.
Sienkiewicz is so organic, and just visceral the way he draws. It's incredible. So I always felt like imposter syndrome just working on those pages at all. And I also worked a little bit on Electro Assassin, which was painting. I remember one time I've told this story before, but I remember one time looking at Bill, and he was clearly looking for the right color for something when he was painting on a page, and he looks over to the side, and he had an old tea bag that he had wrapped up, with the string where you kind of squeeze some of the juice out, and he looks
Mhm.
at it, picks it up, and he starts dabbing the page in spots, and I'm like, this guy will use anything to draw with, and it just blew my mind because we're all about rapidographs or getting out a marker and using, and he's just like picking something out of the garbage basically to draw with, and it was so cool. But there's a quick funny story where I felt hazed. I got hazed by Upstart Studios, which at that time housed Howard Chaykin, Walt Simonson, and a guy named Jim Sherman. If you look up Jim Sherman, he was also a great artist. I think he drew a bunch of Legion of Superhero comics and something Grip Starsky, Steel Grip Starsky, or Epic.
Mhm.
Great artist. And before, the studio had Jim Starlin, Howard Chaykin, Val Myrick, and maybe one other person. I can't remember. Anyway, Howard used to play like Van Morrison and Warren Zevon all the time. And I'm like, who is Van Morrison and Warren Zevon? Like, that wasn't that kind of music I listened to. The kind of music I listened to was like Run DMC, Prince, Al Green, Funkadelic, a lot of black music. That's the kind of stuff I grew up on, right? Like Planet Rock, Africa Mabata, and the Soul Sonic Force. So anyway, we used to make jokes about Howard's musical taste, and it was a record player. And Howard said, you know what? If you want, bring in one song that you can play once in a while. It's like, okay. So it was Prince's Little Red Corvette on a 45, and a 45 was just like a smaller single. I don't even know if they make 45s anymore. Maybe they do. Anyway, I had this 45, and once in a blue, I'd play it, and he would make fun of Prince, whatever, fine. That was just the way it worked out, our dynamics, kind of goofing on each other. And then one day, was it Howard? I guess Howard said, hey, Dean, put on that Prince song. I want to hear it again. And it felt a little odd. Like, why is he asking me to put it, So I put on the song. I go back to the art table. I'm drawing a little bit. About 30 seconds in, Walter Simonson just kicks over a file cabinet. And he gets super angry. He starts stomping around. And by the way, if you've met Walt Simonson, he's like the Mr. Rogers neighborhood of comics. He's the nice guy, right?
Every day.
So I'm like, what's going on? What just happened? And he starts screaming and cursing and using all this foul language about how he fucking hates Prince and what's wrong with you? And I'm like, and I want to say to him, Howard told me to put it like what? And then he goes over to the record player and there's this long scratch like this across the record. He pulls it out and he just crumples it in his hands, the record, right?
Wow.
And I didn't know what to do. So I just turned back around and like my art table was facing a wall and I'm just staring at this wall. And he says, I got something for you, Dean. Turn around. I'm talking to you. And I kind of turned back around and he had in his hand a portfolio, right? And then he digs into the portfolio and he pulls out a 12-inch version of Little Red Corvette. Okay. And he hands it to me. And I'm looking at Howard and also my buddy Larry O'Neill, who's Denny O'Neill's son. He's a good friend of mine. He was also an assistant. And they had their faces pressed hard against the art table, just cracking up, trying to stifle their laughs, And I'm like, wait, did they just pull a prank on me? So they destroyed my 45 so I could get a 12-inch version. And I felt like I was hazed into the Upstart Studios, posse or gang, as it were. So there's the story.
Well,
I'm terrified of Howard Chaykin. So
she really is. Like literally, when we were contemplating like people, and I was like, "What about Howard Chaykin?" She's like, "No, she's like, he scares me." And I was like, "Why? His presence is just very like I'm just so scared." And I'm like, "You interviewed like all these people." I told her, I said, I feel like you interviewed Brian Azzarello like you were talking to a pit bull, but you gave him a bone. Like in some ways, I feel like Brian a little scarier than Howard. And she was just like, no. Brian was great. Howard scares me. Like, don't make me do it. Like, no, I can't do it. Like, don't do it. Don't put me in there. I'm like, okay. Well, we'll get him another con. Like, calm down, Carrie. Whoa.
I understand why you might feel intimidated because he does have a certain persona, but at his heart, he's a pussycat, just like all people who are like that, you know. And if you start talking about torch songs or theater or musicals and let him
Mhm.
sing a couple of songs, you're in. You're
Huh?
good.
Carrie, there you
Okay.
go. You love those
The-
things. You love musicals. You
yes, I
know?
do. It came from at Terrificon when he had his panel with Monty Keene, and it was supposed to be like old school and new school, and he was like, "Fuck that! What we're going to talk about now is how in the world any of you people in comics are actually going to live, because you cannot
And
make
I
a living
appreciate
writing
that.
comics." And he did that, but I have never heard, like, I learned tons of new words to insult and like just destroy people from him. And I loved his passion, but like one of the first things he did was he was like, "Okay, so how many people have read anything I've done besides Star Wars? Or can name it to me." And I'm like just hiding behind the camera, like, I'm not going to raise my hand because if I get anything wrong, I'm going to be in trouble. But now he's looking at me because he's like, "Why are you even here if you don't know what I'm doing?" And I'm just like, "What the fuck am I going to do?" So that was,
That's and if you remember, I was there, and I guess I didn't realize you were there because I don't think we had met yet.
yeah,
And if you
you're
remember,
behind me.
Howard and Marty were just talking a lot, and then I felt bad because I started talking from the audience, and I felt like I was
Oh,
the
yeah.
third
No,
unofficial member of the panel, and like I felt bad for the moderator because he kind of didn't. He might have started the conversation,
He
but he
had no
definitely
idea.
was left out by the end. You know.
Yeah.
no, you were doing great. And because I was like, "Oh, yeah, I'm going to be interviewing him later." And then it was like, "Oh, we have problems." But okay.
I,
We're having, Amanda is saying that there's a bit of an echo going on. And Jen would like to say that you have a very cool studio. So,
That's my girlfriend Jen, and I guess her sister Mandy,
oh,
Amanda, is also
oh, hey.
watching. I guess she's getting an
well,
echo
hi.
in California, whereas Jen is
Nice.
in Brooklyn.
So,
Hmm.
th- so there was one other question I have, and then Carrie and Leo, if you want to ask. So I also learned that me and you have a very similar connection. We're both alumnus of SUNY Purchase.
Oh, wait,
Um,
did we talk about that?
yeah. Well, no. I just when I was doing research before the thing, I was like, oh, and I was like, wait a second, and I was like, what? Like, because I went to that's where I went for undergrad. So I
What
saw
did you study?
I studied history.
And what
So
years?
I was 05 to 09.
God, I don't remember when I was obviously like the either late 80s, early 90s, because I'm
Mm-hmm.
57. I'm a lot older than you guys. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm officially alumni because I didn't graduate from SUNY Purchase. I went to SUNY Purchase for 3 years. The first
Mm-hmm.
2 years I went for art,
Mm-hmm.
and I wasn't really digging it because I did comics. I wanted to make comics, right? And
Right.
art, you're doing painting and sculpture and this and that. And I was like, that's cool, but that's not what I want to do. What I want to do is storytelling. And
Right.
then I was hanging out with all my friends who were in film school,
And you
and
switched to
film was
film.
where I wanted to make movie, tell stories, show stories. So I
Right.
actually switched over to the film and became a freshman. So I didn't go to college for 2 years after high school. I didn't think I was going to go to college. I couldn't afford it. But luckily, my
Mm-hmm.
parents paid for me to go to SUNY Purchase, which is probably one of the more cheaper colleges to go to. At least it was back then.
State
And
school.
so I entered like a little bit older than my other freshmen. And then I became a freshman again 2 years later. And then I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't afford to go back to film school as much as I enjoyed it and they loved me. And I think I didn't graduate, but I think I might be the only person that has entered a college of any college with some kind of suspension attached to me. I entered SUNY Purchase with like a black mark because the year before,
You're fine.
my film friends were going to the graduation, and Harry Belafonte was the guest speaker. Okay,
Wow.
and a couple of the filmmakers that were seniors that were graduating, who went on to make movies, a whole bunch of movies, if I name names. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
they wanted to pull like a prank, and gosh, without getting too much into it, they did a pretty ugly, gross prank that failed miserably
Of
as they
course.
bum rush the stage. But I was going to be the guy that's like yelling to the side to distract everyone to look at me, a guy who didn't go to Purchase at the time. I was just a friend of a friend's,
Mm-hmm.
while they bum rush the stage, do their little act. and then it kind of fizzled, right? So
Right.
at the court hearings for their diploma, while they're debating whether or not they can graduate, and hey, this is an art school, you can do kind of weird stunts and blah 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 and all this stuff. They
Mhm.
kept pointing out this other guy in the video, which was me. Now I had already gotten into purchase, so I was coming in, but then they pointed me out and busted me. So when I came in my freshman year, the gym became the workout space for the New York Knicks basketball team. Okay.
Wow.
And part of
Okay.
my job was to like run the desk or something in the gym or just whatever, do a lot of laundry, to be frank.
Mhm.
And I remember the New York Knicks people just kept handing me what I thought were hammocks. I thought they were like these weird white hammocks, and they turned out to be the New York Knicks jock straps. So I was like, what is going on? And they were so big, these jock straps, you know? So I was like, listen, I quit. And I just convinced the guy that I was working with just to cover me. So
Thank
there
you.
you go.
No,
It-
listen, if I've learned anything being a purchase alum is that everybody has a story, and there are always those stories where you're like, and you tell people like that didn't happen. I'm like, oh, it did.
Oh, it
Let me
did.
tell you, oh, it did.
Well, that's what
Um,
college is for. College is for experimentation and being
I,
an idiot, you know,
yeah. Although my
growing up.
problem was, yeah, and my problem was when I went there, I was like, my head was thinking like, oh, college is Animal House, all these college comedies that I remember like watching, and I was like, oh, that's gonna be great. And you go to purchase, and I was like, nope, that
No.
is a twilight, that is a liberal arts college. This
Oh
is a
yeah.
twilight zone dumping ground for weird, wonderful
Yeah.
individuals. You will learn shit. And you will see everything. And I
Yeah.
came out where I was like, am I older? Yes. Do I know anything? No. Am I
No.
experienced? Oh God, yes. I it's like that scene in Ghostbusters, like, I have seen shit that'll turn you white. I was like, I have seen things that I can't even tell you about because I'm fairly
Right.
certain I signed an NDA at a party one time.
Right. Right.
So,
Right.
but all right, I saw that in the research. And I was like, oh, I got to bring this up because,
No, that's cool,
you know,
man.
yeah, man.
Cheers to purchase, right? It's funny
Yeah.
you brought up NDA, and I'm like, I was joking in the last couple of years that, not necessarily as a perk on my Kickstarters, but I've
Mhm.
always wanted to do a signing where you have to sign an NDA and bring a bathing suit.
Well, I remember it's that what was it, the comedian Pete Davidson, because he was in James Gunn's Suicide Squad, and apparently he wouldn't stop talking about it during his like stand up. So sometimes he would bring NDAs for people in the audience, like to sign in case he brought something up. Because like, listen, you can't listen. I couldn't keep my mouth shut, but you can't say anything. So
Right.
legally binding, and I'm just like, if I sign this, can I bring it home? Because it technically counts as an autograph.
Yeah,
And
right.
that's what my brain's going to. And I'm just like, and then on top of it, he was only in the movie for like 20 minutes. I'm
I know.
like,
Dude.
whatever. But listen, you should do that and see if anybody actually was like, all right, I'm ready to sign about a bathing suit. What do you want? Like, what?
Well, I
Let's go.
mean, if anybody knows me, they know that I love to go to the Russian Turkish bathhouse. And I've always wanted to have a gathering of folks at a bathhouse. It's the best place in the world. You steep in steam and hot tubs and you just feel
I,
better and chill out.
you know what? I'm not, excuse me, I'm going to say that. I'm going to agree with you because I, over the last year or two, discovered how amazing Korean spas are.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel I enjoy that so much as a group, much more than I ever did going to a bar. Like
Yeah,
me, I'm like,
absolutely.
we can go to a bar, but I feel like let's bond, sweating our ass off in an
Yes.
extremely hot room,
Yes.
and then we'll have, Korean fried chicken later, which let me just tell you, delicious. So,
Absolutely, man. And
yeah.
you can gangsters do it,
Mhm.
CEOs do it. Why not us, right?
Boom.
Come on.
There you go. So there you go. So if you have a newsletter and you're signing up for we with Splash Pages would like to put our name on it. Thank you very much, Carrie.
Thank you.
We'll get you a ticket.
Thanks,
Fly you.
guys.
Are squirrels allowed?
Yes.
Squirrels are
Listen.
totally not. You know what's funny? I thought that was a real squirrel for a little while. I totally forgot that that's a hand.
She's very good with the movements. You know, you haven't lived till you've seen her doing interviews with creators, and they're just looking at her like, "Am I drunk? Did I finally? Did I like? Did I? Was I in a? Did I have a stroke? Am I in a coma? Did I finally snap? Because I'm getting interviewed by this lovely curly-haired goth girl with a squirrel
Did I
on her
just get
hand.
dosed? Did I get dosed or something? Did I drop
Yeah,
acid by accident?
exactly. Did it just kick in and then she's moving it so well? And I'm just like, Leo, I need an adult. Please get over here.
When
All right. I'm good. You
when
guys
we
talk.
when I was talking to Brian Azzarello, he was like, because I had him and Stephanie Phillips and Jason Aaron, and they were all in a row, sitting there, and like I went to interview him, he's like, I've been told about the squirrel. And I'm like, you've been told about the squirrel? Yes, I've been told about the
I've
squirrel.
been warned.
And so I spent a large amount of the interview with like Ratatosker looking at me. And like,
Right.
so it wasn't like, but then every now and then I'd kind of like sneak him over, like right behind Brian. It was,
That's cool.
it was pretty fun.
That's,
But then he accused him of stealing his wallet.
oh,
The
that's
greatest
good.
this is the greatest
like
honor
that.
of all. You know?
I have a quick Brian Azzarello story because he's a buddy of
Please.
mine, and I love Brian. And
Okay.
he, like, often people will come up to a writer at a Comic-Con, and some writers can draw or used to draw or whatever, and they would always ask Brian, not a lot of people, but some people would insist upon, like, oh, come on, just draw something in my book, please. And he's like, no, I don't draw. And finally, he told me this story where push came to shove. He said, all right, I'll draw something. So he like pulled up the book, right? The sketchbook, and he starts doing some art with the guy not being able to see him, right? And he starts to go, what's your name? And he just puts down the guy's name. And then little by small, he turns it around and you see like what looks like a circle like this, right? And the guy's name. And then he starts to draw some weeds, some dead flowers, the bottom. And really what he was drawing was a tombstone with the guy's name on it. And he was like killing this dude,
That's
How we
fucking
doing this night? We're doing all right. How you doing?
We're doing good. We're doing good. All right, Carrie, Leo, I've asked my two. You guys, you by the laws of interviews, you can go.
Okay. We're allowed now. We get to go.
100%.
Okay, so we're gonna get into all your new stuff right away as soon as we cover a little bit of the old Red Hook. And I have summed it up into two, like I'd given Leo a list of pages, and instead I've just grabbed 2 pages that allow us to kind of just wrap everything up together. Okay, so what happens is there's a bad day in Brooklyn and things fall apart, and Brooklyn basically secedes from the world. And it becomes its own sovereign nation, and art becomes one of the main currencies. And there is the rascal who becomes the Red Hook, and he's got a girlfriend, the Possum, and his mother is also a crime fighter, the Coney, and I love her. And so there we have the Red Hook, Possum, and the Coney, and she's so amazing. And so yeah, he goes between being like a crime fighter on accident because things happen and plot and it's fun. But that's what you need to know is that, yeah, it's a great, hilarious comic book.
That's the basics. And there's a lot, obviously, more to the story because of playing with the idea of a seceded Brooklyn and Brooklyn sentient. And her heart is broken by the toxicity of the world to start her own, unique republic, blah, blah, blah. But then there's this pandemic of heroes and villains. And so our hero, the Red Hook, originally is basically a criminal, right? Not a bad guy, but just, fallen in that way, right?
Right.
And then because of a series of crazy happenings, a demigod who's dying grants him his superpowers to do good with. So he forces that upon him or he'll get killed. He literally wraps his hand around the Red Hook's heart and cuts off his arm and then like melds it into his chest with a superpowered sword as well that he can just punch his chest and pull out at any time, which is crazy fun comic book stuff, right? but that means that if he's walking by like somebody doing something bad to somebody, instead of being able to just keep walking and disappear, if he starts to walk away, this demigod's hand starts to grip his heart and crush it. So it starts to kill him. So he has to go do good things. And that's like the first season or two of a 4.5 season series that I did at Webtoon. And little by small, he comes to own being a good guy because he realizes that that has more value to life, and he wants to be a good person. So that's part of the story. But his mom, the Coney, the character that you love, is probably my favorite character. Is his mom, is a vigilante that I riffed off a little bit on the Punisher with her.
Thank
She
you.
kind of has a similar origin. And it's funny because when I was looking up, a lot of the characters in the Red Hook are based on neighborhoods in Brooklyn. Like the Flatbush is Flatbush, New York. Oh God, who else is there? The Coney is Coney Island. The Green Point.
Bensonhurst.
There's Greenpoint. What did you say?
Bensonhurst.
Bensonhurst, which is Bensonhurst, is Bensonhurst. So I played a lot with those names. But with the Coney, I didn't realize the Coney was a rabbit. So when I was designing the Coney's costume, I had already designed it that way, and her name originally was going to be called the Cricket. But then there was a cricket out there somewhere. I looked it up, and I was like, well, I can't use the cricket. And it didn't even follow with my own kind of like idea of trying to give characters neighborhood names, right? So I was like, well, her kind of weird flappy pincers or whatever could be kind of like construed as rabbit ears of some sort, right? And she got X's for eyes and just like wears this kind of like black baggy kind of clothing with bombs and all that stuff. So I was just riffing off a little bit with the Punisher, but she started to become like my favorite character because she's so conflicted, because she's been traumatized by what happened to her family, that she is wholeheartedly 100% focused on trying to get rid of bad people, and even though a lot of bad people are, well, the more interesting ones are complicated, just like Thanos. Thanos is a complicated, bad guy in some ways, you may disagree with his methods and his idea of like snapping his fingers and getting rid of, half of populations all over the galaxy. But I understand where he's coming from a little bit, right? Even though it's wrong. So, or Magneto or whatever, all really good villains. So she's not necessarily a bad guy, but she is a vigilante. And she has a lot of pain and torture. And Carrie, I was wondering what you related to in the Coney.
I just really love her as character. Like, she goes through and she's a practical character for one. She isn't somebody who went out and got a super suit and did all of the stuff. She goes and apologizes at her husband's grave. Like, I'm sorry I can't afford flowers, but every bouquet I buy you takes away something that I can be doing for better. And
Right.
she goes after her son to scold him, and then when she realizes that he's starting to become a hero, she gives him the full support. She'll stop him from being bad, even though it's kind of like, he's a little bit too old to be having his mom scolding him, but she's still out there doing that too,
Right.
because your mother's the Coney, it's just like, but I love that about her. She's very practical, and she's just got the most amazing suit. And I was going to ask you, I have somebody helping me design the mask, and how exactly are the antenna or rabbit ears? Are they floppy, or are they rigid, or how?
So, good
how do
question,
you
because
see them?
the Red Hook's ears are floppy, just like the fox, right? So
Mhm.
with her, I could almost see them being like wires, almost, or something kind of a little more like a wire hanger, even, that she busted and broke open and maybe painted black. Or, even though I tend to draw them a little bit, it evolves when you're drawing a character, right? So I think at first they were
Mhm.
probably more like thin, kind of wiry type stuff, and now they kind of maybe can be, a little floppy. But it's always erratic. It's always a little broken, like a broken piano wire, but stronger than that. So as long as they're just kind of going out and maybe even turning a little bit, and look a little wrong and chaotic, that's how I would go for it. I don't really know what her suit is made out of. At one point I was trying to evoke the idea that she's wearing like hefty garbage bags, and maybe some of that stuff. She has some like gear inside her because she's pretty lofty and big, you know, and like wears these big boots and gloves and has a big hunting knife. And you know, she does have an Uzi, but at some point early on in the New Brooklyn universe, the Purple Heart is another character I have that I co-created with Vito Del Sante, and he eradicated all bullets. You can't shoot bullets in New Brooklyn anymore, which will bring you up to date. Not the current Kickstarter I did with the Red Hook, but a future story I want to do with starring the Red Hook and his mom, the Coney. The working title is Son of a Bitch. And I have this beautiful story. It has to do with bullets re-entering New Brooklyn and how that messes a lot of people up. And so I have this kind of kind of gun story that I'm playing with right now that hopefully I can tell someday.
Well, I had a small
I look
question.
forward to it.
I'm sorry, Carrie, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I just said I'm really looking forward to that one because you'd mentioned it to me before, and I was just like,
Thank you.
I squee on the show. I'm allowed. They let me. So
It's true. She squeezed the most. Leo sometimes, me like 4 times. But I had a question. So in the first volume, which you said, hey, make sure you read that just as a conversation about we'll talk about. The coach in the flashback when he was a boxer, and let me know if I'm wrong, was that modeled after Kirby?
Absolutely. His name is Jack Toth.
Mm-hmm.
And so Jack Kirby and Alex Toth. It's like an homage to both of them. Absolutely was Jack Kirby.
Wonderful. The other thing is, yeah. I was like, wait a second. And then the other thing is just because, again, I was reading it, and sometimes I like to read again because, I like to catch those Easter eggs in case. Were there, because you mentioned other, artist inspirations. Did any other creators end up as background characters, patrons at the bar, that kind of thing?
Oh, it's funny. My friend Bob Fingerman, who's a cartoonist, he did Minimum Wage for Fantagraphics years ago, and actually at Image Comics, and he has some new books out now. He's so good at populating his backgrounds with real people constantly, and I don't have the patience for it. By the time I'm getting to a background, I want to get the background done. I'm one of those guys who, the less backgrounds, I'd rather just focus on, behavior or props or whatever, But I don't. When I draw a background with people that I know or that might be recognizable, or like you said, an Easter egg, it's far and few between, to be honest. So there's a couple of people like at Sonny's Bar. I put some people in there that were from Sonny's Bar that I know. But like I said, usually by the time I'm getting to that part of the drawing, I just want to get it over with. So no other Easter eggs that I know of.
Okay. I just wasn't sure if we might see Ditko in the background,
Right.
Or maybe Lee or anybody else who was of note.
Right,
so
right.
I don't know.
Sorry to disappoint you like that.
Oh no, it wasn't disappointment. Just just wondering. But we have a question. So Leo, what's the question?
Yeah, Turning the Page is asking, which character is the most ridiculous fun?
If we're talking about my stuff, or are there other characters I've written and drawn for like
Both.
franchises?
Both.
Okay, so such a good character. I have a character in the Red Hook named Hugo Girl, like You Go Girl, but his name is Dr. Hugo Girl. That's kind of like half male, half female, schizophrenic, kind of Romeopathic instead of homeopathic. He creates Romeopathic therapy, which was a lot of fun. He was a fun character to draw, or he or they were. Even I'm confused by the gender, and also I don't want to step on any toes when it comes to that. I did it in respect and fun of a character. That was a fun character to write and draw. I don't know. I mean, Benson Hurst is a lot of fun to draw. I love the Coney, of course. I love the main characters. But whenever, and I kind of got a soft spot for Benson Hurst because for a while, and he wears like a wrestling mask. And for a while, I was like, "Oh, he's a total asshole. Fuck this guy." But then I came to love this guy, and he has such a heartbreaking kind of story toward the end. If you ever get to the end of season 4.5, which I think is called PTSD, which is post-traumatic superhero disorder. And there's a lot that goes on with, and he's in love with the Coney. Turns out to be in love with the Coney. So I actually love that little love story. But I don't know. I try to have fun. You know, early on in my comics making career, I recognized that is it Chester Gould who created Dick Tracy, right? The Dick Tracy villains look like their names, Prune Face, you know, all these different, and I was like really on the nose. But I love designing a character that either looks exactly like what you think the character is or the exact opposite, you know?
Right.
So like, you know, I don't know, even when I was working on certain villains for the Red Hook, I thought it was one thing and I realized, oh, it's actually a whole other thing, you know, when I looked up what the origin of the name was and stuff like that. So and then recently I did a character called Chest Face, which is my current campaign, which is a lot of fun to draw, you know. Fans of Jack Kirby will, oh, there he is. Fans of Jack Kirby will recognize like that I like the Thing in this character design, and also Arnim Zola, who's a Captain America villain, you know, where he has his face like a monitor on his chest. And also fans of Bugs Bunny, you know, the character Gossamer, the pink kind of furry monster that that Bugs Bunny tools around with sometimes. So he's a fun character to draw, and trying to figure out like his anatomy and where his eyes go, and you know, his mouth. And yet he's fun to look at. I mean, I just want to laugh when I look at this guy. It's very rare that I draw a character that constantly brings me smiles, like Chest Face does.
No pun intended.
And I had a character called COVID Cop that was a lot of fun to draw, you know?
Yes.
But in terms of franchises like Marvel and DC, God, I've worked on a bunch. I remember drawing a Wonder Woman story that Neil Clyde wrote, where Dead Man was in it a little bit, and I didn't realize how much fun Dead Man was to draw. And also, I drew Wildcat. Neil also wrote a story with Wildcat and Perry White that we did a story with. That, and I realized, oh my God, I love Wildcat. But you know, I like seeing characters. I like kind of those street level characters, you know.
Right. And speaking of, you know, personal touch onto your stories, you know, you also did a story where, you know, in a very meta way, you know, you met your character, right? You know, Red Hook, Dean Haspiel. So, you know, you're working behind the same bar, and you're even talking to him about the creative process. Like, you know, meta moments aren't impossible. You know, they happen somewhat. They happen quite a bit in comics. But what inspired you to do that, and what was like? Were there any challenges there?
So there was a bunch of challenges because, you know, if anybody says to you, "Oh, the creator is going to meet the creation," right? And they're going to like talk about that in some way. I actually talk about creativity, but I don't have him acknowledge, or I don't have a version of my persona, my character, acknowledge that he is the creator of the Red Hook, because I feel like that would just mess everything up. And also, it's not even a conversation piece for them, because that's not what the story was. It was a speculative memoir, right? So I kind of set up for new readers the whole Red Hook, New Brooklyn kind of idea. All right. Then I do it through the guise of the possum. And they're just like in this domestic situation. It's a bar situation. The whole thing takes place at a bar, right? And then we jump cut a couple of years and we find out that the possum, spoiler, is dead. Okay. But you know, he's starting to feel like, am I wearing the mask, or is the mask wearing me? That's the Red Hook thinking about this. There happens to be a person that's kind of like the unknown soldier of New Brooklyn, who like is holding the bar down because his lover went off to fight or to deal with when the secession happened, right? Because I just wanted to talk about what was the fallout. Give me one person, and when like that was just kind of normal instead of all the people who dress up in superhero costumes and fight each other and for all the various reasons, I wanted to have somebody that rooted, New Brooklyn and be this person who we ultimately find out. I don't want to give too much away, but it's kind of like a ghost love story in some ways,
Mhm.
And when my character shows up and he's like trying to bartend, he's like, I can't do this. I should be trying. But guess what? It's really hard to make comics, and he starts talking about this thing. And then it goes from a speculative memoir to actual memoir for one page when my character talks about something that actually did happen to me, because I haven't hung out with the Red Hook in a bar, okay? But I was on an F train when someone was trying to terrorize this passenger, and I kind of
Right.
helped her out. And was I heroic, or am I doing the right thing? What is being a hero? Is it just doing the right thing? And so I wanted to bring that out. And then there's more to the story that happens, including acknowledging the life and legacy of the possum through another female character. Okay. So I kind of put all this stuff into only 24 pages. And I tried to make it look like, an autobio comic by making it grayscale, and just be a black and white comic. And part of
Mhm.
what I was thinking was, well, I've drawn a lot of Harvey Pekar comics, American Splendor, and I've done my own autobio. I've drawn an autobio, semi-autobio with Jonathan Ames on The Alcoholic, within Vera
Mhm.
Lopez, Cuba My Revolution. And
Mhm.
so I was like, well, what if instead of Peter Parker becoming Spider-Man, what if Spider-Man became Peter Parker? In other words, you go from being like this action hero to slowly, little by small, you're like a bartender working at Cheers or something like that,
Right.
and just with locals in Brooklyn. Instead
Mhm.
of, and then maybe it's not Peter Parker, but maybe it's Peter Pekar, and that was kind of like where my brain was going,
Right.
in terms of sensibility and trying to kind of figure out what this story could be like tonally.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I hope I pulled that off.
Yeah, you did definitely. Right.
Thanks.
You smashed a lot into a short period of pages, a short amount of pages, but it all played out. We caught all the different nuances through that. It was just beautiful.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
yeah,
No, okay.
that I just oh, don't show too
Dude.
much.
Nope, nope.
But I did love the character, the one who's holding it. You named him very cleverly as well, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unmarked bill.
Yeah. I was going to ask, having read a lot of your work, are you a fan of puns? Because I'm just noticing a lot of, through your
I like
work.
alliteration. I love puns.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm corny as hell. Okay. But I feel
Thank
like
you.
I have a lot of heart in my work, So like I also feel like when I've worked on serious stories, especially
Mhm.
autobio, I realized that the best way to impart a message is through levity. If you can laugh a little bit, and then
Absolutely.
it's an easier pill to swallow if
Mhm.
there's a little bit of humor surrounding something serious. So I try to throw in something meaningful, make a meaningful story, but then I'll throw in a wrench of like, what a corny name, or why have you just done that to my brain? And I can't
Right.
help it because like it keeps me being creative. It
Right.
makes me have fun with the work as well.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. Yeah. I just wondering. And then, guys, if I may, just another question. You worked a lot with the late great Harvey Pekar. Um, you know, and I have to ask, especially since American Splendor is considered a staple of American comics in a way that very few comics are. What was that like working with him? Do you have any stories you wouldn't mind sharing? And then the last question would be, how did you how did you feel the movie where Paul Giamatti was Harvey? How did you think that was in terms of as an autobiographical tale?
so I'll start with that, which was another thing I should have mentioned. What inspired the Red Hook ex Dean Haspiel was that scene in American Splendor where where Paul Giamatti playing Harvey is in a scene with Toby, the guy who Judah Freelander who plays Toby, and they kind of yell cut, and uh suddenly we're in a white room with props, and we see the real Harvey Pekar and the real Toby Radloff, and they kind of walk past each other, and then you're hanging out with the real Harvey Pekar with Joyce, and you're like, what is going on? What the hell just happened? There's this
Right.
weird hybrid that maybe on paper, just like how corny I can be, that might have failed, but somehow the filmmakers and just took a chance and it worked. At least it worked for me. I thought it was brilliant. I feel like that movie's still ahead of its time. It's such a great movie. And
Absolutely.
I don't know if you know this, but I'm the guy that made that movie happen.
I did not. That's awesome.
So I was working as an assistant to Ted Hope, the movie producer, and we were working on the Ice Storm, Ang Lee's The Ice Storm. Okay, and I was his assistant. And part of my job was to go to his house and do his laundry and like not hammocks or jock straps, but but he had a whole bunch of scripts and comics, and I knew that he was a comic book fan. And I
Right.
had done a couple of short stories for Harvey Pekar at the time, and I was like, you know, it'd be a great idea. I said to Ted, I was like, that you should do an American Splendor movie. He said, I would love to. I love Pekar. Can you get me in touch with him? I said, absolutely. So I called up Harvey. I had to convince him who Ted Hope was, and he had gotten a lot of movie offers in the past, and they all fizzled. So he didn't really believe that it would, you know, it would work out. I said, trust me, this guy's a really cool indie movie producer. So a call was made, and the rest is history, right? This is a great movie that got made. So I feel very proud of that, and I had been acknowledged for being the guy that kind of made the phone call happen, you know, kind of thing. And of course, they made this awesome film that I had no idea would be made like this, you know. So super cool. Working with Harvey was great. I had a couple of times where, you know, the guy. I've said this in the past. I don't know if he actually wrote comic books, okay, because he drew stick figures that talked, okay. Now, for me, I'm not. How many pages am I going to read somebody talking when I should just might as well read an interview or a short story or prose, right? How is it
Right.
comics at that point? So I felt like one of my jobs as a collaborator was to read that script and to figure out what other things could I show while he's talking or talking to someone, or where are they, or you know, trying to direct, as it were. So
Right.
it really upped my game as a collaborator and an artist, because for a long time I just felt like I'm just going to draw other people's stories because I'm not a writer. But then what you realize as an artist in comics is that an artist is the co-author, because you are
Right.
writing with pictures. Okay. So it's this collaboration that happens. So it kind of upped my game, and I also love one of the things I learned from him was to have an open ear and to listen to other people, because there's my voice in my head and the way I write stylistically. But sometimes if you're trying to capture something that's not yours or something real, just listen. Just listen to other people talking, you know, and write that down sometimes. And you
Right.
never know what you might get from that, you know? So, and I did an obituary comic for Harvey in Publishers Weekly where I talk about that. So that was one of my takeaways. And he was a good guy, man. He was a mensch. He always looked out, you know, for artists and new artists to try to get them, if he could uplift them. I helped him out when American Splendor was lagging a little bit, and then the movie happened, and then I kind of helped steal American Splendor from Dark Horse over to Vertigo, where there was a better page rate and more exposure and blah blah blah.
Right.
And yeah, no, I mean, it was fun. It was fun. I miss the guy, you know, like I can't believe. And also, when you say that American Splendor is like one of the perennials in comics, the crime is where can you buy them?
Right.
There are no new. And then Joyce passed away recently, and I was talking to her a lot. And I know that there were some plans to maybe resuscitate a library of sorts, because his work belongs out there perpetually,
Agreed.
and it's
Absolutely.
not. And it's a tragedy because he's one of the progenitors of autobiographical comics.
We had another question coming in. What's the hardest learning to tell a story in 24 pages or less?
Well, listen, comics is an economic art form. It's a series of shorthands. Okay. Whenever I talk to a new rookie cartoonist and they want to do their 300-page magnum opus right out the gate, I'm like, whoa, 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 pump the brakes for a second. Like, can you write and draw a 6-page story that works? Can you? You know,
Right.
make it 1 page. It's even harder. Okay. Like the great thing about Archie comics is they tell whole stories in 5 pages.
Yep.
You know, it's kind of unbelievable that they can do that and pull that off, right? So it's actually harder to do. It's not harder to do 24 pages, but it's harder to do 24-page a whole story than if you're given 200 pages for obvious reasons. So the things you got to cut out. I did a Fox story recently, a couple of years ago, that I was given a 20-page amount of space to write a story. I wrote it. It was pretty tight. And then the editor came back and said, shoot, we can only give you 12 now. And I'm like, what? So I had to surgically figure out how to excise 8 pages and still make the story meaningful in 12. And it kind of bummed me out, but it's all economies, just figuring out. And always think about this: how do you earn the next panel?
Right.
Why are we going to the next panel? What's happening? And sometimes you play with cinematic moments where you can do a repetition of something and there's maybe a little tweak, and that's a stylistic choice or that's a narrative choice. But why are we going to the next panel, and what's the last panel ultimately? Stuff to think about. I don't know all the answers, but that's something to think about.
Absolutely.
You can definitely overdo it too. I don't, and Drew's gonna yell at me for bringing this up again. But a couple years ago, there was a 40-issue arc in that DC did that was absolutely insane. It was pure overkill. Just Fear State, Drew.
Oh,
what was the story called?
Fear State.
Was that Batman or something?
Yeah,
Batman. Yeah.
Who wrote it?
It was one of Carrie's favorites. James Tynion was the head architect.
Okay.
Yeah, it was it was a Scarecrow story. It was following after Joker War. It was Fear State. It was reinventing the character and the kind of thing. It was funny because Leo loved Joker War, but he just was not a fan of Fear State, and he wants to bring it up, even though I say every goddamn time he does, let it go.
I'm never gonna let it go, especially never mind. I won't even bring it up.
No, listen, you got to Rick Astley that, man. You got to stop. You got to stop letting it let you down. You got to stop letting it hurt you, and you just need to say goodbye. Okay? It's not gonna hurt you. It's not gonna hurt you anymore.
Well, I was going to ask Dean so what are you keeping up on? So besides your own work, is there anything you're currently reading or watching? What are you doing?
Yeah, I can't really afford comics that much anymore, to be honest. But I love everything that Mark Waid does. Like what he's done at DC is great. It's awesome. World's Finest, and I haven't gotten the Batman and Robin yet with Chris Samney, but I can't wait.
So good.
Oh yes,
of course.
Yep, and his Superman. Holy shit! Action Comics.
He's great. It's great. So to anything Mark writes, I love anything that Saga, of course. It's a great series. I love I don't know if I love, but I like a lot Fantastic Four. That's the one comic that that was my favorite comic as a kid, and the one comic I've been buying every month ever since, and I go in and out with Spider-Man. Say it again.
Highs and lows.
Sure, of course.
Yeah.
So Fantastic Four and Spider-Man are pretty much perennials. And like I said, and then I follow writers more than I do artists, to be honest, because an artist can't truly elevate a bad story. And there's a lot of great artists that when you read the comic you're like, okay, whatever. No, I love what was another series? Brubaker and Phillips. The crime comics they make are great.
Criminal.
Unbelievable. Or is it Reckless? Is that the new characters or the new
Something
series?
like that.
Yes. And then there's a lot of indie guys. There's a guy down the hall, Nicholas Forker, who does Island. Very indie. There's Marty Keene. Marty Keene has his own Zuperverse, not Superverse, but Zuperverse of comics. That's a lot of fun. I love. And there's another guy. Oh, what's the comic? Kurt Burdick, I think his name is, and he does like this, like really kind of like perverse iterations on superheroes. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of like really fun comics on Kickstarter, because Kickstarter in some ways is its own comics ecosystem as well.
Mhm.
You know, and I would hazard it's probably the third largest publisher of comics right now. And so yeah, I try to like keep young by still checking out the new stuff, whatever the new stuff is, you know. And I've actually been contemplating whether or not try to come up with my own YA graphic novel, because they do so well
Do
ultimately.
it.
If I can come up with
You're
something.
gonna have to dial it down a little bit from Billy Dogma and Jane Legit if you're gonna go with the YA comic. Gotta.
A lot of, yep. Lot.
That's.
You're gonna have to put some clothes on. You know. Sorry.
Yeah.
Don't want to
well,
do, but
That's
you know, for young adults, get.
But when I was talking to Brian, yeah, he was like, "Yeah, I wanted to do a young adult." I initially pitched Faithless as young adult. I was just like, "How, when that turned out the way it did, was that ever going to be young adult?"
right. Oh, I haven't read Faithless, so I haven't
Oh,
read it yet, but I should. I mean, obviously.
yeah, read it now and think about like
I
initially
love
this
Jason
was going to be a
Aaron.
young adult.
Yeah, no, I love Brian Azzarello. I love Jason Aaron. Anything he writes is great. Frank Miller. I feel like Frank Miller's covers he's been doing the last 5 years are next level. I love that. I know people make fun of him, but so, to be able to get to a place where you do not give AF and you're just doing it how you want to, because you're an artist. He's like become a fine artist in a weird way, you know. I just love when he draws.
I mean, just regarding Frank, again, like I said, I've people who have mixed opinions about him, but I'm never one to make fun. Like, I really think that's, I agree with you. I think that's really rude. You know what I mean? The man has earned, you don't have to like his current work or everything. You might have some issues, like little teasing, little jokes, but being like rude, like, oh, he should just retire. I'm like, that's not fair. You know what I mean? The man has earned your respect. He's changed comics a lot. He has quite a bit to his name. I agree with you. Like, give him the respect as if he's still in comics and people still want him. Hey, Frank, do a Daredevil cover or whatever. Go for it. Like, it's
And
Frank Miller. Gonna sell.
And Howard Chaykin is still killing it with all his comics ideas. Like,
Right.
I know he got some flack for Divided States of Hysteria, but I love that comic. I thought it was fantastic, and I wish he would return to that series because it was so good. I know he's got like a Fargo graphic novel coming out, and he's been doing his Hey Kids comics. But no, Chaykin is a master, and Walt Simonson, whatever he draws. I mean, Sienkiewicz, Dennis Cowan, who was also in that room with Sienkiewicz. These guys grown to be masters, and I appreciate these guys, especially when they get older, because we already love the stuff that gave them a name. Okay.
Right.
And I just want to see what happens next. Where does it go? If you look at their earlier work, it maybe wasn't up to snuff to the work that you came to love. Right. But then, there's a whole journey here, and people just gotta, you cannot like it, or you can like it, whatever. No, that's up to you. But to diss people for why? For what?
Well, the internet culture is just unbearably toxic to the point where, like, all of us here, we just don't pay attention to comments anymore, because it's a lot of one-sided, easy targeting, and naturally we want to defend. Like, I think I can speak for Carrie and Leo, that we kind of look at the creators we admire and are spending our money, Leo, on so many covers. They're like family. That's like our aunts and uncles or grandpas and whatnot. So if someone's going to come at them, I was like, you better have a legit damn reason, because if not, we're going to throw some hands. And speaking of old age, I mean, come on, look at the late great Denny O'Neil. The man was still writing into his 90s. So what I mean, and it's Denny O'Neil. I mean, and God, talk about panels. Terrificon, one of the best panels I ever sat in was at Terrificon. It was him and a couple of people talking about Robin, and Leo and Carrie, this story. He was just like, he's just sitting there at Terrificon. He's like, are any of the Warner Brothers representatives in this room? And we all joked like, no, it's good. And he just goes off on a 2-minute tirade about Warner Brothers. on how garbage they were about, Robin and all this stuff. And it was just like me and my partner were just sitting there like, Uncle Denny for the win. Like, let's go, man. And whatnot. And the sad thing is when they pass, because unfortunately we can't live forever until we have RoboCop technology.
Yeah.
I'm just sad that other generations can't get to meet them like we have and get that pleasure of meeting them. And in our case, we get to interview them and, or in Carrie's case, we bribe them for the interview.
Yes, absolutely.
No, Carrie, there's no question. You get results. We're not questioning it at all. But the work still stands. Like you said, kind of weaving back my consciousness here. That's why, like you said, to quote Indiana Jones, their work doesn't belong in a museum, but it belongs in a library where people can read it and they can understand the genius of Kirby, of Ditko, of Pekar, and all these other greats who, without them, we wouldn't have comics. And you read it, it's like it's a little cheesy, a little corny. And I was like, well, okay, what wasn't?
Also context. Don't forget, like we live in, like you talk about the internet, like toxicity. Like people don't put anything in context anymore.
No, they
like,
don't.
There was an era and a time, when people did certain things. Like my studio mate, and I hope I don't get in trouble for this, but pointed out a movie trailer today, and she was really interested, and then I watch it, and it's who played James Bond recently? I'm getting old here.
Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig. He's in a new movie called Queer. Okay. And he's playing a gay character in the 1950s.
Okay.
It looks really cool. And I joked, I said, oh, is he allowed to play gay or can he act it? Because did he take away a gay actor's job? Kind of a thing. And I'm like, to me, if you're an actor, I think you should be allowed to play whatever you want or can if you're good at it. That's how I feel. I understand the larger argument of a lot of people took, early on back if you put it in context, and now you should, you maybe need more quote representation by the actual people. I get it. But also when you have a really good actor like him, I'd love to see him play whatever he wants to play.
Right.
It's called acting.
I just watched a video clip.
No, I was just going to say, totally agree. He's an amazing actor. Him with Knives Out is just amazing.
Oh, he's gay in that too. That's right.
Right.
So
And listen, Leo, I agree with you. I've never looked at a donut hole the same after seeing that movie. I was just like, the hell? Like Rian Johnson, I was like, listen, people can crap on you about your Star Wars, but this, yes. But Carrie, you were going.
Oh, I just saw a clip the other day, and it was, I don't know if you guys watch the Graham Norton show or not. I love him. He's an awesome British chat show guy. And they had Stanley Tucci on, and he was like, so you have become the ultimate straight man playing a gay man in everything that you're doing. That's become your thing. You're the best at it. And he's like, oh, yeah, I guess I guess I do. And then they were like talking about a role that he got that Graham Norton, who is gay, had actually auditioned for, and he didn't get it. So he's talking about, he's like, you just weren't gay enough. He's just like, what? He's like, there's something about straight men doing it gay that gay men don't do the same. And it just became like it, but then it became a discussion. Like it was funny, and then it was like, oh well, look, what do we do? So that is a thing.
Is it the same as like British actors playing like Americans? And
right.
Yeah.
Well, they're taking away American jobs. So Drew, what's the Stanley Tucci callback we can make right now?
Stanley Tucci callback. Fuck. There's so many movies of his.
No, not a movie. What college did he go to?
Oh, he went to Purchase. Him and Tucci and what does Tucci and Wesley Snipes have in common? They both went to Purchase. And I know this because there was a while when he was dealing that tax evasion stuff, there was a group that was like, Wesley Snipes is hanging out in alumni. And I'm like, God, I wish. I would love to be like, what was I doing? I think I got really drunk, but I could have sworn I had a beer with Blade. What do you mean? I was like, Simon Phoenix, my man. like right there. I was demolitioningly drunk.
Well,
Yeah.
here's the big question. When they filmed his getting his diploma, did they have to CGI him opening his eyes?
Yep.
Oh wait,
100%. Yeah.
Oh.
What? Yeah. So basically,
Gotcha.
Dean, what that's referencing is apparently there was a rumor that on Blade Trinity, which was the much not great
It's not
end of the Blade trilogy, some of Wesley's scenes, he was so against the whole movie that not only was a lot of it filmed with a body double, but some of the close-ups were filmed with his eyes closed, that they had to CGI his eyes open. And it just adds to how distastefully ridiculous the movie is.
Here's a
I
clip.
enjoyed that. I liked it. I thought Ryan Reynolds and Parker Posey, who also went to SUNY Purchase.
Yes, she did. Well, yep, a lot of great.
I used to hang out with her a little bit. She's great.
There you go.
What and who? Timberlake's. I love her.
Yeah.
Jessica Biel, right?
Yep.
Jessica
Mhm.
Biel. That's a fun movie. I mean, yes, it's a curveball. It's almost like when Halloween 3 came out, and I love that movie, but you're like, where's Michael Myers? What's going on? What happened? You know?
Yeah, that's literally, I think Carpenter was like, we're gonna fuck with you.
Yeah.
You know?
But they were going to create an anthology series of Halloween stuff, and
Oh, yeah,
it's
I know.
actually a really good story. It's a fun story.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I remember how disappointed I was because I wanted Michael Myers.
Right.
At the time. Now I respect it.
Well, I know, but the horror franchises always try doing that. I mean, the same thing happened in Friday in Friday the 13th. You know, Jason's dead, and then they try making Tommy Jarvis the new Jason, and then they were like, "Yeah, this did not work." Well, what are we gonna do? You just see that we always imagine this the drawing room, and just what are we gonna do? We're gonna turn him into a zombie. It's like, okay, he's gonna get struck by lightning. What year is it? It's 1985. Didn't they do that in Back to the Future with lightning? Yeah, but we're gonna bring Jason back. Genius.
I mean, and then
We
was
got
he
the
in
10
outer
million.
space? But I will say the Freddy Krueger Jason movie is great.
Thank you. It's ridiculously dated and extremely cringe at times, but it's so much fun.
But the idea behind it is great.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. But
the original ending should have.
Carrie, you got to let it go, man.
Didn't they film two endings for that? One where
they did. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, they did, and that's what she's talking about.
No, the one that they couldn't do because they couldn't get the rights. They were going to end it with Pinhead coming down and pulling them all into hell.
Whoa!
I know.
Yeah, but they couldn't get the rights to Hellraiser.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So you just rock Dean's world right there. He's just like, damn, I'm gonna draw that.
You know, it's funny. I kept trying to figure out a horror franchise, a horror movie that would appeal to all of us, which is clearly it's Freddy, it's Jason, it's Michael Myers, right? It's Leatherface, and I'm trying to think of maybe one or two others, right? Versus Ash from Dawn of the Dead. You know, like not Dawn of the Dead,
Evil Dead.
Evil Dead. And whatever, I mean, I don't know exactly what the story is, how you make that all happen, but that could be so much fun.
Listen, if they could do Freddy versus Jason versus Ash and it worked, I mean, we reviewed it. It's dumb, but it's great. If it could work, anything's possible. I mean, listen, they've thrown Ash into every combination you can think of: Marvel Zombies, hack slash. God, I'm sure there's. I even worked with like Obama at one point. I was like, okay, let's just calm down, guys. You know, even Xena was a few times. Bruce Campbell just made him too damn likable. He's just a dumb idiot with a chainsaw hand.
There's a new Ash versus Murders in the Building. I'm kidding.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Ash versus Golden Girls and Bob Ross.
Are you trying to make like a 70s Avengers? That's just what it sounds like. Like when you say only Murders in the Building only works if an Evil Dead Rise. I was like, if it's that building, I'm like, oh boy. That's a
Yeah.
lot of murder. So that's a hell of a bill there. But because we're coming up on time, Dean. So but what I will say is before we go, one, thank you so much for joining us. This was absolutely
Thank you, guys.
fantastic. Since it is coming up on spooky season, and we were talking about this before, do you have like a top 3 spooky movies that you have to watch every Halloween season rolls by? Like it's not Halloween without them.
I mean, sure, in terms of the spirit of that, but I could like Halloween really truly is probably my favorite, just because of how impactful it was, and the music alone, and the Michael Myers character. I also love
Mhm.
John Carpenter's The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing is more horror sci-fi, you know. But I'll throw a curveball in. Have you ever seen a movie called Session 9?
Yes.
Yes.
And
I'm
you
like
just won more favor with Carrie.
gonna jump
Great.
through the screen and hug you.
I I love Session 9. I actually know the co-writer and one of the actors, Stephen Jevedon. That's in
Oh
that movie, and
man.
it's such a good movie.
Mhm.
And I don't know. I mean, of course, I love some of the classics, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But Texas Chainsaw Massacre is almost like it's like a depressing documentary in some ways. Like it's not fun. It's horrible the whole time. Like it's love Session 9. But yeah, I mean I don't know, Carpenter obviously.
Oh yeah.
And I'm trying to think of some other, like, I mean, there's so many I actually watched Woman of the Hour the other night, which is new
Mhm.
on Netflix,
Mhm.
about the serial killer that was on the dating game.
Yes.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
pretty good. It was well made, Not a
Mhm.
lot of insight into it, but I'll tell you what's fun. Did you guys watch the monster series Dahmer?
No, I heard it was really good.
It's really good. It's
Yeah.
it's really well done. Carl Franklin directed a bunch of those. He's a good director,
Mhm.
and it's very different tonally from the other series that got American Horror series that are a little more cornier, to be honest.
Okay.
The bits I've seen, but this is a little more like genuinely spooky and
Yeah.
scary. And it's because what's scarier than monsters? Real people.
Every day.
Mhm.
So
Every
anyway.
day. All right. Cool. All right. Leo, do you want to ask? I know you were going to go through the thing.
Well, we essentially asked earlier, what he's reading.
Mhm.
Is there
Yeah.
anything that you work out about? Do you play games? You mentioned records earlier. It's anything.
Speaking of Larry O'Neill and another pal of mine, Mike O'Shea. Mike O'Shea is the writer director of a movie called The Transfiguration. If you haven't seen that movie, that's another great horror movie. The Transfiguration. He got me starting to play board games, and
Oh, nice.
cards. And so one of my favorite games is a game called Decrypto.
Mhm.
Have you heard of Decrypto?
No,
It's
I
great.
haven't.
It's great. Do you know code names? No? All right, so it's kind of like a word game, which is a lot of fun. There's a card game called Parade that's a lot of fun. But I don't get the games. I just play the games with my friends, and then I sit in and I learn them. I'm still learning poker. So I have played a bunch of those games. I don't play a lot. I don't play any video games. I know that video games is a huge thing. I haven't done that. And going back, Leo, to your distaste of a long 40-issue run, do you think part of that, and again, I didn't read that story, do you think part of that was because of the deconstruction of pacing that happened once manga became popular and invaded our American comics? So, where what I used to read as a kid, a 22-page story that was epic, and maybe it's part of where I learned how to do a 24-page story that could tell a lot of story in 24 pages, and then they slowed it down, and that 22 pages became 6 issues. So I wouldn't say there's a lot of padding necessarily, but we've slowed down our storytelling pace in American comics because of the influence of manga, I believe, because manga has slowed down their storytelling pace. So like an issue of a manga is like 200 pages, right? Whereas an American comic was like 22 or 24. So you would buy like 15 books of manga, and they're big books, right? but they do
Yeah.
slow it down. Like they'll have a character enter a scene, and 30 pages go by before anything happens. You know, because you're just learning a character and having a conversation. So I don't know if James Tinian had slowed down on purpose, or it was just too much story going all over the place. I don't know. I didn't read it, you know, but I do wonder if it's a not a victim, but you know, impacted by the slower pace of comic book storytelling these days.
Yeah, that's a good take on it. Yeah, it did seem like it was all over the place. You know, it's I'm a big Batman guy, and you know, I enjoyed Tinian's run. You know, even though a lot of people, you know, gave him a lot of hate on it. It's just that Fear State. It seemed like it was they did Scarecrow story too soon. Like there was, you know, another Scarecrow arc that was fairly recently before that. And this year it just seemed to be like a push just to, you know, sell more books, you know. And I know that's the whole thing, but
And that could be editorial too. You know what I'm saying? Like that can be often editorials. Like, I mean, listen, not that I'm going to fix DC or Marvel Comics, but I do have thoughts about if I was the publisher,
yeah.
and maybe you probably have thoughts as well. But like, we don't need 20 Batman books a month. You know, you have one continuity book of each, you know, legacy character, okay, and then you might have some anthology books like Action Com or whatever, where you do like 2 or 3 serialized stories or little one-offs in an anthology where you play with maybe your B, C, D level characters, right? And then on top of that, so that's your continuity of comics, and maybe try out some new talent on some of the C level characters. You know, I'm thinking about how they did it in the 70s, right? But then you have like, I'll just say like, you know, because we understand this, like Frank Miller's Dark Knight. You have a Frank Miller Batman, or a Dean Haspiel Batman, or a Kerry Sanders Batman. You know, like where you put the where it's not continuity, it's just a take on the character, right?
Absolutely.
And I feel like that would be a lot of fun. And same thing with Marvel, right? Why do we have so many Spider-Man comics? I don't understand it. You know, it's insane. So,
Dude, we're right in the same mindset. I've been saying that, you know, they need to get rid of continuity, you know, still have it in like a main run, but you know, they need to, you know, sort of like
just tell a
have their
story.
own,
Have fun.
yeah,
Have fun with
exactly.
characters. Don't feel like you're borrowing this, or just take it and do something with it and forget the timeline. Unless the story specifically has to do with some kind of timeline, you know, for whatever reason. Otherwise, just have fun and tell a story.
Well, and also like you know, continuity books, they need to, you know, take everything that a previous writer has done. Like you can't do any stories with Alfred right now because they killed him off, you know, 2 years ago. You know, it's yeah. I
Yeah, I
before we
wonder if he's going to come back someday. I wonder if Alfred's going to come back someday.
he's pretty badass in the new Absolute Batman.
Like, I haven't read that yet, but
Ooh.
I can show you absolute chest face though.
Yes.
All right. So we all know what chest face. First of all, I know you already posted some pictures. So, like, you know, here's the the original art for the
Oh, nice.
for cover, and then
Ooh.
I have, you know, this is gonna be the back cover, which is gonna be at service kind of a flyer for his comedy show. But I drew this chest face, and I was like, ooh, this looks a little wrong. I'm just like, and if you get really close,
Yeah.
Wow.
that's absolute chest
Love
face
it.
right there.
That's awesome. Well,
I
speaking of chest
apologize.
face, no, don't. So everybody definitely check the comments, and I believe we have it in the notes as well. You know, your newest Kickstarter. So what are some of the not prizes, but what do
Oh,
backers
the
get?
tiers perks. So
Tiers,
basically, what I want you to really do is get the comic book, because it's a comic book, you know, and you can only get it from me. I'm the store. I wish I could work with retailers right now, but I haven't figured that out yet and how to do that. So maybe some future projects or maybe some collections. I don't know. I'm still working on that idea. Right now, I'm just testing the waters to see if anybody wants a comic book from me, you know. So basically, there's the offering the print versions. There's also, you can get stickers, you can get prints of stuff, you can get there's a couple levels where you get some artwork or drawings. I'll do commission work for you. I'll even consult on your comic. There's a Zoom party. So I made it manageable and not crazy. Okay, where sometimes you'll see a Kickstarter and like, wow, so many things that are just not comics at all, and like, where are you gonna get all this money from to produce all this stuff? It's insane, you know. But I'm not that kind of an industry, so there's that. You can also get the 3 comics, the 3 previous Kickstarter comics I did in a bundle, basically, where you can get COVID Cop, Billy Dogma and Jane Legit, which is a very sexy comic. As you know, it's a romance, kind of a bombastic romance comic that's a lot of fun. And the Red Hook X Dean Haspiel are the 3, and then the 4th one would be Chest Face for now. You can get all of those. And then also today just launched is another exciting project that I drew a 20-page horror story for. Speaking of horror, and the project is called Lights Out, and it's on BackerKit. And there's a lot of other really cool contributors to this graphic novel anthology, but also it's based on a Lights Out radio show, horror show that like Boris Karloff was on, and from like the 1930s and stuff. And it comes with these really cool vinyl records of some of the shows. So check it out. I'll be posting it, and that's another thing that's happening right now. So I'm really, really excited for that. And yeah, Chest Face ends. The campaign ends on November 22nd. I hope people at least check it out. Thanks talking to you guys about it and everything else.
I've already pledged. I'm
Thank you,
getting
Eric.
my stuff.
Thanks, guys.
No, no worries.
All right.
Thank you. So, Dean, where do you like people interacting with you on social media?
So sign up to my free Substack newsletter, Dean Haspiel Substack. I have an Instagram, Dean Haspiel _art. And I'm also on Facebook. If I'm like the older crowd. Facebook is where I actually can talk to people.
Yep.
You know, Instagram is more pictures, and Substack is like a newsletter where I kind of promote stuff, and I sometimes write the occasional essay about the industry or life or something. You know,
I absolutely.
So those are
love
the 3 main places. Oh, thanks, man. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, man. All right, well, thank you so much for joining us again, Dean. We really appreciate you. Good luck to everything, projects, and all that. And we'll definitely make sure to, next time we're all at a con, we'll definitely make sure to stop by, and we'll get that interview that day. No worries. Well, thank you so much again, and just let us know. Let us know if you have anything else come up, because we're working on promoting more kickstarting projects on the show and whatnot. So, we'll say, share it, like it, subscribe, all that jazz.
Thanks so much, guys.
Send me a link. We're doing a Kickstarter promo tonight. So
I will. Absolutely. All
all right.
Well, thank you so much. I'm out of here. I'll get back to drawing Chest Face and finishing up that book, and we'll talk again soon. All right.
All right, Leo, let them know the thing.
Yep. Just hit the leave studio button and let it finish uploading. If there's any issues, I'll see that and I'll have Drew send you a link afterwards. So if there's an issue, don't worry about it. We'll send you a link afterwards.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great rest of the night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
That was awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So we got it. All right. So there's a lot of news.
Yep.
So,
and before that,
Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
nope.
it's me. Welcome back.
Hello, Drew.
Yeah.
All right, kids. All right. So there's not a lot of news, but there's definitely enough. So I just say we just plow through it and then call it a night, because it's almost
Sounds
Halloween. It's almost Carrie's birthday. So yeah.
We'll
But
kick
can I just
Yeah.
and we don't have a graph for it, but I know we saw it today. R.I.P. Terry Garr, man. That was so sad.
Oh no, I didn't see that.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
passed away today, 79. She was dealing with multiple sclerosis. So she had a stroke from it back in '08. And yeah, it just, it finally took its toll. So sad. I mean, she was such a great actress, film and television. I mean, I feel like most people, like Carrie know her, Young Frankenstein,
Yep.
Mhm.
Was one of her
Yep.
earlier roles. She did a lot on television. And then there's, she did a lot of really, notable movies in the 80s from what I recall. There was Tootsie.
Yep.
There was Mr. Mom. Loved her in that. And I didn't know this, Leo, but she was the voice of Terry McGinnis's mom in Batman Beyond. I did not know that until today. Yeah, and I was like, oh, holy shit, that was totally her. Like, damn, Mary McGinnis. I was like, dude, awesome. But yeah,
Close.
so,
Yeah, Close
so that
Encounter.
and right, she was the wife, Richard Dreyfuss's wife in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. That's right. Can't forget that either.
1944 to 24.
Yeah, I just need to say that. Just R.I.P. You will be missed.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, her last item was How to Marry a Billionaire
Oh,
in
okay.
2011.
That's
Wow,
been a while.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well-
So, the news. So, let's segue into the news. It's time for. It's very much with Carrie.
Yay! And we're just going to go through this short and sweet. So,
Yes, ma'am. Do you think?
Yeah, give me 1 second just to bring up the images.
okay.
Sorry, what the heck? What the heck? Where is it?
You have one job, Leo.
Buttons work. Work buttons work.
Where's the friggin' folder? Hold on.
Drive, Dean, very much.
Here we go.
I know where I put it. I don't know where you put it.
I need to download it separately. So,
This is what happens when our in-laws visit before the show.
Mm.
I know. Well, we're trying to get our never mind. I'll tell you.
All right, there you go. Yeah.
All right. Okay, so first up, we have Marvel welcoming in the winter holidays with a series of 10 variant covers showing off our favorite heroes and their favorite holiday festivities. First off here, we have Miles Morales, Spider-Man number 27, and that will be done by Todd Nauck. That's on sale the 4th of December here on the this next one, The Incredible Hulk. These next three will all be on sale on December 11th. And it's Incredible Hulk number 20 by Greg Land. Next, we have The Scarlet Witch number 7 by Audrey Mock. And the next one there, we have Ultimate X-Men number 10 by Nao Fuji. Then coming up on the 18th of December, we will have Daredevil number 16 by Chris Campana. Immortal Thor number 18 by Nick Bradshaw. And then Ultimate Spider-Man number 12 by Paco Medina. And on the 15th, the final three will be released, which include Exceptional X-Men number 4 by Marguerite Savage, Spider-Boy number 14 by Natasha Bustos, and Time Slide number 1 by Betsy Cola. So if you're into celebrating the seasons and want to get down with your favorite heroes, go out and get those covers. You can be festive too.
Yeah.
I'm not very festive, so.
Very nice. Okay. Festive holiday covers. Looks good. So I believe, Leo, I'm sorry, but something, you're never going to live this down, buddy. But I believe there's another fantastic variant rolling out.
Yes. As everybody seemed to love them in the Avengers and X-Men 60th anniversary usage, Marvel has decided that the Fantastic Four will also be given the Disney treatment with a series of Disney What If homage covers recreating their most loved issues through 2025. We have Mickey as Mr. Fantastic, Minnie as the Invisible Woman, Goofy as the Human Torch, and Donald as the Thing. On sale, this cover here, on sale on the 22nd of January is Fantastic Four number 28, with the cover by Andre Bresson, and there will also be a black and white variant. And this one is Fantastic Four number 29 that will be on sale on February 19th. And this cover is by Paolo Matura, and there will also be a black and white version of this as well.
Nice.
So, yeah, so we're going to get some Disney and more covers to be released throughout the rest of 2025.
So who is this now?
No, you look it up on the internet. Okay, look it up. Well, Carrie, I'm very excited for you for the next two because I've been hogging this since it's been dropping. So it's naturally you get a little Ultimate Universe time.
Yeah. So, the Ultimate Universe 1-year anniversary is coming up, and we are getting Benjamin Sue foil variants for issues 13. Ultimate Spider-Man here. I'm like, okay, Ultimate Spider-Man is on sale January 22nd, and Black Panther will be on sale February 19th. And they're going to be these great year one foil variant covers by Benjamin Sue, who is an acclaimed cover artist and Pixar animator.
Oh wow! Yeah, they both look gorgeous.
Yeah. Is that so? That's Craven in the background.
Yep. And then in the other cover, that's the new Ultimate version of Doctor Strange.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So the Ultimate Craven, was he bitten by a radioactive line?
Oh my God! You asked this get out of here! No, he was
It's
not.
the stupidest friggin' thing I've ever seen.
You got to get over it, buddy. It was the '60s, and it somehow worked.
No, it's not the '60s. I'm talking about the new movie coming out.
Oh, nope.
The new movie, he's bitten by a friggin' radioactive line.
No. We don't touch all the light touches of the Marvel Universe. What about that? That's Sony. We don't go there.
He wasn't bitten by it. He was in a fight with it, and some of its blood entered his stream through a cut that he had received.
The She-Hulk origin. Yikes. And then there's one more, Carrie, which Leo, you might like because it's actually an homage to a great Marvel artist that you are very familiar with.
Yes.
Isn't that right, Carrie?
Mm-hmm. And I went digging.
Did
you get the newest?
No. Did you add something afterwards?
Yes.
Yep. Probably I put up when I'd added it because he gave me new news today.
Mm-hmm.
So there are, I believe, five. It should be. I gotta see. Pardon us as we have a moment of slight confusion.
Wasn't confusion? I downloaded it before.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it was the last minute thing. It's the variant watch for the Ultimates connecting covers.
4.
There'll be 5 pictures there.
Okay, hold on. It's almost done downloading.
Okay. It's worth it, guys. It's exciting. It's really beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
you're gonna love it.
Drew, why don't you entertain us?
No.
Since this is your fault.
This is not my fault. Okay. I'm not the technical guy. No.
Actually, I can start talking about it while it's downloading. What we're gonna be seeing here in just a second is the new Ultimate Universe connecting covers by Jose Maria Casanovas. It's being put out as an homage to Jim Lee's well-known X-Men #1 from 1991. And he's giving us a 6-piece connecting cover set for the latest Ultimate Universe storyline. Now, as I was looking around on the internet so that I could get as many of the covers that have been released so far that make it up, I noticed that there's been some speculation going on based on what we see and what we don't see on them. For instance, people are wondering, where's Captain America? Why isn't he on here anymore? Did something happen to him, or did he just not make the cover? Fury's back, and he's white. That's crazy. Is that Doctor Strange that we see in the back there? Are we sure? Is Kraven possibly a good guy? And why is the Maker on the Ultimate Wolverine cover? We have the first 4. As you can see, it looks gorgeous. This one is the Ultimate X-Men number 8, and that will be on sale on the 30th of October. The next one we have is Ultimates number 6, and that'll be on sale November 6th. Coming up after that is this beautiful, beautiful Spider-Man, Ultimate Spider-Man number 11, on sale November 20th. And the final one that we have to see right now is the Ultimate Universe 1 year in, and that will be on sale December 11th. Also coming up will be the Ultimate Black Panther number 11 on the 25th of December, and Ultimate Wolverine on the 15th of January. However, we have not been able to get individual copies of those covers yet. I mean, you could just cut the picture apart, but
Yeah.
one of it. But they officially haven't been released yet. So
Okay.
But yeah, so it's causing a lot of speculation. People want to know why some people are there and why some people are not, and what's going on with everything, and what kind of clues are we supposed to be getting from these, if any. So it's Reddit is a fire.
And connecting covers, I mean, you gotta love connecting covers, and then you gotta go out and buy 40 copies of them. 41.
No. You're confusing fans with you. Big difference. Big difference. But we can talk about that more as we get into the next segment. All right, Leo, do it.
Drew's News. Exciting tales, fresh comic views. In the pages, heroes fly, villains plot under the sky. From Gotham's dark to Metropolis views, we cover stories old and new. Drew's News, your daily source for comic clues. Join the fun, it's a heroic cruise in the world of Drew's Comic News.
Welcome back to Drew's News.
You're so enthused about Drew's News, Drew.
I swear to God, if I could reach through this screen, I would bop you. All right, starting off, twist it, shut the hell up, and post it. Marvel is celebrating, announced their news to celebrate Black History Month and 50 years of one of Earth's mightiest mutants, Storm, with Storm Life Dream. So this is going to be arriving at the end of January, kicking off Black History Month. This is going to be a Voices anthology one-shot, seeing all African-American creative teams joining forces to honor the many extraordinary lives of Aurora Monroe, aka Storm, just in time for her 50th anniversary. So this is spearheaded by a journalist and Marvel Voices creator, Angelique Roche. You're going to have stories by Curtis Baxter, who made his Marvel debut in Miles Morales' Spider-Man Annual Issue 1 last year. Best-selling author Brittany Morris, who did Slay and Cost of Knowing. Eisner Award writer and artist John Lennings, who did Kindred, Silver Surfer, Ghostlight, Rising Star, Karen S. Darbo, Bloodline, Daughter Blade, acclaimed cover artist Edwin Galmon, and many more. So the synopsis is, when intergalactic historians attempt to update the records on one of the most famous X-Men in multiversal history, they find a woman too powerful to contain and risk unleashing a side of her no one's ever seen before. Experience a whirlwind journey across Storm's most iconic eras as a malevolent entity threatens to corrupt her legacy. So we had the two covers there. We had Torrin Clark, and then, of course, Lucas Wernick was the variant. They both look gorgeous. They will be on sale January 29th. So if you like what you see and you're a Storm fan, I would definitely pick those up.
It's always hard when I'm making the pictures for Storm because her hair is as much of a part of her as the rest of her. So it's like I want to include the hair.
Yes, you and her have that in common. Without the hair, I don't know, you would just be you. Yep. So let's see. So that was me. And then next up, oh, okay. Hey, Nerf Herder, you're up.
Okay, so if you're a Star Wars fan, and even if you're not, you know, it's you need to, like the rest of the internet, let the hate flow through you, you know. So we're gonna dive into the dark side. Marvel just announced Star Wars Legacy of Vader. So it's an all-new series that takes us on a journey with none other than Kylo Ren. And it's going to be launching this February. So the series bridges the gap between Last Jedi, and I know a lot of us don't want to talk about Last Jedi, and Rise of Skywalker as Kylo confronts his past, and he also tries to let it die. So written by New York Times bestseller Charles Soule, who gave us the unforgettable Vader moments in the 2017 Vader run, which is friggin' amazing. And brought to life by artist Luke Ross, known for his work on Jango Fett, War of the Bounty Hunters. And the series, it promises to deliver all things dark and twisted in a galaxy far, far away. So after taking out Supreme Leader, hold on.
Snoke.
Yeah, I know Snoke. Sorry, my page flew up. So after taking out Supreme Leader Snoke, Kylo Ren, now fully in charge of the First Order, but it's not an easy thing being the boss when you're still wrestling with some family issues. He has memories of murdering his father, spoiler alert, and and defeat by Uncle Luke, and that strange connection with Rey. Kylo's left wondering what it truly means to be Vader's heir. So the search for answers will take him across the galaxy from Tatooine to Mustafar, where he'll uncover secrets about Darth Vader's life that could change everything. Soule had this to say about the new series. This isn't just a mashup of my previous work on Vader and Kylo. It's a deep dive into Kylo's time as Supreme Leader and a part of the time that's almost untouched. So he's thrilled to follow Kylo Ren down this dark path and bring Star Wars fans along for the ride. And again, that's going to be coming out. Star Wars The Legacy of Vader #1, hitting shelves February 5th.
Nice. Okay. May the force be with him.
And you.
All right. And Carrie,
Yes.
I know you have mixed feelings about the holidays, but apparently there's still time for a little horror.
Oh, yes. Actually, it's a very traditional part, particularly in like Victorian England. Horror stories are part of hence a Christmas Carol and such. But horror stories are a big part of the tradition of the Christmas season back in the day. And everybody who likes horror loves to say, like, hey, we can do it because that. So Image Comics and Syzygy, I think it's Syzygy Publishing, are going to be bringing us a fun one-shot horror anthology, Dread the Halls, for a nice Christmas scare this year. You can get this on December 4th. Like I said, it's following the English tradition of telling old horror stories in the winter holidays. We have Jordan Hart as a co-creator and writer on board with Chris Ryle, and we're going to have art by Lee Ferguson, Jimmy Kuchag, Walter Pax, and Fabio Veras. Covers, this first one here is by Maria Wolf, followed by Marguerite Savage.
Ooh.
Then, next one we get Jordan Hart, and that's pretty simple, but you know, it's kind of nice. And then last but not least, we have Lee Ferguson. And they haven't really given us much information to go with here, other than we're just gonna get a bunch of really nice Christmas horror stories. So once again, grab it on December 4th.
I know you.
Deck your halls with Boughs of Folly, Jolly, Molly,
Terror. Holy terror.
Holy
And
Terror. That works too.
And it's brought to you by the little short bald guy.
Yep.
Right? Ziggy?
Get out of here.
It's
just you.
Oh no! It's the robot from Buck Rogers.
You drive me nuts. You.
Hey, that's right at Oscars 9.
You drive me up the fucking wall. I swear to God. Next story. So, speaking of Dark Horse, they've announced a new graphic novel from no other than founder of Dark Horse, Mike Richardson. Gunslingers are going to take readers back to the Wild Wild West, starting in March 2025. So, Richardson, who's also known for his work on 47 Ronin, Star Wars Crimson Empire, and Father's Day, is going to be joined by his frequent collaborator, Jordi Armengol, who did Cloaked and Navigator, who will be providing the artwork with letters by Jim Campbell, who worked on Into the Unbeing, Monsters Are My Business. This is going to be a 128-page graphic novel, which is available now for pre-order, $19.99 price. Just got to give you that deets. So it's following the story of Josephine, whose 12th birthday turns to tragedy when on a trip with her family into town for a special treat. Her parents are shot and killed by a group of drunken cowboys. The dastardly group includes Andrew McGeary, the son of an influential rancher, celebrating his upcoming wedding. The next day, things go bad to worse. When, at the sheriff's office, Andrew will blame Josephine's parents for the carnage. So the girl, enraged by the lie and traumatized by seeing her parents die, grab the gun and shoot Andrew dead. Avenging her family, sure, but now the father wants Josephine tried and hanged, but she is unexpectedly freed from custody by her outlaw grandfather. Side note, who she has never met. Ethan Foster, who is a gunfighter long thought dead, comes out of hiding to save his only surviving family member in a bid to atone for past transgressions. The gunfighter and his granddaughter are then relentlessly pursued by McGeary's hired gunmen. So, if you love the Old West and you love revenge, this is right for you. It's definitely got that old Western spirit. Both Richardson and Armengol are just, they said it's a dream come true to work for. That's just a fantastic thing to work on. So, if you like what you hear, Gunslingers, March 18th, 2025. Yeehaw.
Nice. Westerns seem to be making a comeback too.
They are. You know, they definitely are. I'm glad you noticed that too, because I was like, man, we're getting, you know. But I think, Leo, like we've talked about, comics are cyclical. Everything that was popular somehow always makes its way back. Before we know it, we're going to be knee deep in Kung Fu comics again.
Yes.
I know. You're thrilled. I know but keep in your pants. Speaking of Leo, you're up next because you got a little jelly that I covered all the DC stuff from DC for New York Comic Con last week, which you have no idea what we're talking about. Definitely check that out because it was a lot of good stuff.
Hold on. Are these?
This is the one with the gallery that you told me to send you the link to because there were 26 different images.
Yes.
Yes. You're welcome.
You really need to. You need an assistant. You're missing details, and we're not putting you at the pasture yet, Grandpa. So yes. So yes, DC released even more news about upcoming things, and of course their new All-In initiative. You know, which remember, Leo, that's when teams are revamped with new creative teams for new stories. On top of, I guess, the new stage. This being the new stage of DC. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I am loving the direction of DC right now. So yeah, the All-In initiative along with Absolute. So New York Comic Con, DC unveiled a brand new lineup for its Absolute Universe and All-In initiatives. So the series and one-shots are packed with iconic characters, thrilling new stories, and so first up we have Absolute Martian Manhunter by Denzig Camp and Javier Rodriguez. So this is going to be launched in 2025, and we have some of the art here now.
Yep.
And the Absolute Universe has been awesome. We have 2 books already right now. We have Batman and Wonder Woman. Have you guys read Wonder Woman yet?
It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Superman. And Leo, not to hijack, but you know, this announcement joins 2 other titles that we know are in the works. So we have Absolute Martian Manhunter. Then you're going to have Absolute Flash, with Jeff Lemire's working on right now, and then Absolute Green Lantern, which I believe Al Ewing is working on.
Nice.
I believe it's either Al or your other BFF, Philip Kennedy Johnson. I don't recall exactly whom is doing it, but I know it's a big name. So we'll probably hear about it soon. So
yeah, I hope they don't expand the Absolute Universe that fast, because, you know, for those of you that don't know what the Absolute Universe, essentially Dark Side won in this alternate universe, and it's just a universe of pure like evil. You know, the heroes, everything's dark, and the heroes have great adversity. You know, if, as you heard, Wonder Woman is raised in hell, and totally don't want to give the story away. It's absolutely friggin' amazing. But, you know, essentially from being a baby to growing up, there's like creatures trying to kill her like multiple times a day.
Yeah, same shit happened to Hercules. She'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and then there's new stuff about the All-In front.
Yep. So All-In Initiative, we're gonna get a brand new Aquaman series in January. Let me see if I can find the images here.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's right there.
Holy shit. Okay. So it's going to be written by Jeremy Adams with art by John Timms. And it's an ongoing series. We'll see Aquaman facing off against water-based kaiju constructs and investigating the mysterious Blue alongside Dagon. So it sounds like Arthur's new abilities from Absolute Power are about to get a workout. And I don't know. So we don't know what his powers are. And at the end of Absolute Power, or was it all in?
No, as Mark Wade said when we had him on the show, is that certain people, when everybody got back their powers, certain powers didn't make it back to certain people. So you have, you know, this new thing where certain people have new powers, certain people have other people's powers, and it's like, okay, what? So it's very interesting, especially considering how powerful Aquaman is. You know, it's not just he has these new abilities, but who might have his older stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, it'll be interesting how all that plays out. So next up, let me see if I can. Oh, actually, we got a ton of.
Yeah, it's a lot, man.
Yeah. This looks awesome. The artwork is freaking amazing.
Oh, John Timms is a great artist. He worked a lot on the New 52 with Harley. So fantastic work.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, the kaiju. Wow, that's gonna be cool. Look at that dude. Oh, holy crap. Okay, here we go. So, and also, speaking of Jeremy Adams, he's also going to be bringing us Green Lantern Fractured Spectrum. It's a one-shot with Ken Moran. So the story. Sorry?
It's Ken Moran.
Sorry, I forgot the V. Ken Moran. So the story, how Jordan leads a reformed Green Lantern Corps as they take on fractal lanterns, a mysterious threat to the essence of sentient life. This one-shot promises to be an epic addition to the Green Lantern mythos. And
Another Green Lantern Corps.
Yep.
All right. No, it's Leo. I think you're going through the next
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, I am. Yep, this is Justice League. Okay, we'll back it up here. Okay, so next is Justice League: The Atom Project, written by John Ridley and Ryan Perot, with art by Mike Perkins, and that's going to be launching in January. So the series follows Ray Palmer and Ryan Choi as they team up with a reformed Justice League to restore and secure the superpowers of DC's heroes. And Captain Atom, he's got a secret he's trying to keep hidden.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. So you got some
And,
dope images there.
Yep. And then closing. Oh, that's pretty badass. I believe we only have one for Superman here. And last is going to be Superman Lex Luthor Special. Is also going to be hitting in January. So Lex Luthor is back following the events of DC All-In Special, and the world is depending on him to dig into the past and help solve a mystery that's threatening Superman and the Justice League. Like the Justice League hasn't been through enough already. So written by Joshua Williamson with art by Eddie Barrows and Eber Faria. And I know I said that wrong. So the special promises to bring the kind of twist only Lex Luthor can deliver. So mark your calendars between new adventures in the Absolute Universe and exciting new story arcs in the All-In titles. 2025 is going to be an awesome year for DC. And and DCU is launching next year too.
There you go. A lot of DC.
Yeah, a lot of I love where DC's heading.
Yes, we know. All right. So that's okay. Thank you, Leo. That was good. You can rest now.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. All right. So next up.
And next up. And I appreciate, Drew, you giving me the DC story. It's
I know.
appreciated.
I know. Make yours a DC. I got it. Carrie, what's up with Boom Studios?
Well, Boom Studios is bringing us another great-looking entry in the world of horror with writer Gus Moreno, along with artist Jakub Rebecca of Cyberpunk fame, in the new series When I Lay My Vengeance Upon Thee, which will be available in January. Gus Moreno is a novelist, and he's best known for This Thing Between Us. This story is aiming for a gritty police procedural with the iconography of religious horror, and not much else about it besides that, but it does. I mean, I see police procedural and religion, so but we know if it's coming out from Boom, it's going to be great, and the artwork looks gorgeous. We're going to be getting 4 covers for this. This first one is by Jakub Belka. The next is by Jacob Phillips. Next up, we have Inhuklis. And finally, we have one that is done by Jay Lee and Jun Chung. And again, yeah, so I like all the different covers kind of give you different feelings about how this is going. So I just seeing the cover work has made me go like, yeah, this is something I'm going to need to read, because and I'm probably going to get up the guy's other book too, because it you know.
Well, yeah, and then the synopsis for it seems pretty great too. Like it definitely gave me the kind of vibe that you, someone who watches The Exorcist 3 every year on your birthday, would very much enjoy. I mean, a disgraced priest haunted by the death of a child, an exile to a South American town, apprenticing under, a controversial exorcist. This guy has his own way of dealing with demons. There's a threat of, mystery behind him, of island of evil, figuring shit out. Like, it's the kind of book I know you're going to read.
Yeah, it's got all of the elements of Carrie written all over it. So the only thing it's missing is a huge haunted house, and I'm sure that we'll find something like that in there as well.
I'm fairly certain. When is this out, Carrie?
It is out in January, and there was not an actual release date listed with it other than January. So
okay. It's probably like January 1st or something. Like,
Yeah.
like, hey, Happy New Year, horror.
Whee! Possession.
Exactly. All right, nice. Okay.
Like they do.
Yeah, that's what like they do. All right. I'm extremely pumped for my last story to be announcing. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. These are the pages from the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They look absolutely fantastic. Sorry, we
Oh,
gotta
and
give
there's my
those.
house too. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, see, there you go, Carrie. Got that haunted house there. Yeah, it's a little haunted.
Or is that a haunted?
Mhm.
Oh no, that even worse. That's a haunted church.
Oh boy.
Mhm.
Oh boy. Oh boy. There.
Oh boy.
All right. Well, I was a little excited, but because the next story is something I'm extremely thrilled about, as it is part of my
Mhm.
Halloween tradition every year.
Oh, it's
Trick.
Ziggy.
I swear to fucking God, Leo. I swear to fucking God. I'm putting you on mute. I don't even know how to, but I would. Okay. Hold on. Okay, thank you. If you need anything about me, Halloween is one of my top 5 favorite seasons. There's not too many seasons, but still. And one of my absolute that I rewatch every year around Halloween or basically on the day is Trick or Treat, Michael Dougherty's Halloween anthology, which is an absolute spooky masterpiece, especially with that little guy whose name is not Ziggy, his name is Sam. Okay, and he is the enforcer of Halloween, an undead little rapscallion who makes sure that the rules of Halloween are followed, or else. While we're still waiting for a sequel, Michael, come on, let's go, man. This world continues to expand with this new graphic novel, Trick or Treat Witching Hours, which is a new graphic novel from Legendary Comics and Rocket Ship Entertainment that will be available exclusively on Kickstarter. So this is the first original Trick or Treat graphic novel in a decade. Presented by the creator and director Michael Dougherty, also to celebrate the 10th anniversary of his other masterpiece, Krampus, which will be in 2025, aka next year. A new edition of the tie-in graphic novel Krampus, Shadow of St. Nicholas, will be launched with a special Kickstarter edition as well. So this book, however, features 4 brand new original stories centering around Sam. This story is brought to life by Michael Dougherty, Zach Shields, Todd Casey, Brian Burns, and Chris Wong, who have various work in titles like Godzilla King of Monsters, the previous Trick or Treat, Days of the Dead. Pretty much most of them have worked on that. And also the other one, the Haunting, with artistic contributions by Ben Temple-Smith, who everyone knows from 30 Days a Night, Brian Burns, who was not only was she contributed to the film, she was an original concept artist and for the first movie. And then, of course, Tristan Jones, who is a stellar cover artist, but also contributed for the Mad Max Fury Road comics. So Dougherty is just thrilled to come back to this world. He says it's a true labor of love created by top-notch talents. And on top of it, everybody, is that fans and collectors will have the opportunity to pledge for exclusive items available only through the Kickstarter campaign, which include a special slipcase edition of the graphic novel and other limited edition merchandise. So light up your carve your jack-o'-lanterns, put out the candy, and always make sure to wear a costume, because if you don't, Sam will get you. So if you like Trick or Treat, please donate to this and get yo freaking comics. Okay, I'm good.
Yes. Nice. Well, when does the Kickstarter start?
I think it's already started, or I think it's already started or is in the process. So I would just look up the details online, and you should definitely find the link.
Okay.
Yeah. Did you ever pick up the horror book, the Trick or Treat book that Rob Liefeld did?
No.
Trick or Treat, I Draw Feet.
Okay, so we're just going to move on because Leo's completely
fired.
Yeah, Leo is just, Leo, why don't you for Halloween just hat, fuzzy suit, just say waka waka a lot? It's about as much as your jokes are landing right now. Thank you. Carrie, take it away. Close us out.
Booyah. All right. So on February 26th, we can all get our greedy little mitts on one of my favorite comic writers' new contributions to his Beyond Mortal universe. Cullen Bunn is giving us Jump Scare with artwork by Danny Luckert. Jump Scare, the main character, is a hero who has the ability to conjure any weapon from any horror movie she's ever watched. And she's using this ability to become a hero in Empire City. Facing her new arch nemesis, the monstrous mobster Grindhouse, he's getting out there to try and he has his eyes set on bringing her down. Colin says this is the most, and he brought this up on his Discord too, said this is the most fun he has ever had writing a character with horror and superhero elements all tied in together. And Luckert said that he had a blast drawing her as well. And this just looks like it's going to be awesome. I mean, we're adding more to it, one of his already established universes, and she's got like anything that she watches, she can pull out. So she's got, you can see the hook chains and hatchets and spikes and all the different things, knives. I want to know, like, if she just goes and like feeds on videotapes of horror movies so that she can get more weapons in her arsenal, or how she goes about doing it. Because it's a very awesome concept for a character, in my opinion. Don't know about the rest of you, but
Indeed.
No, it looks pretty badass. And it's Cullen Bunn. You know it's good.
yeah.
Yeah, you can't go wrong.
Oh, yeah, you really can't with Cullen.
Nope.
He's just amazing.
All right. Well, I think that's it.
Are we doing the Kickstarter thing tonight, or are we waiting until next week
Well, next week.
Okay.
Because Dean just sent Carrie, he just sent me and him a link to, I think, a horror anthology. So check your email, because that's great. So we could always see about including that there. But and also we can say this because we're not going to see you until afterwards. We at Splash Pages want to wish our Carrie Sanders a most happy birthday. We hope we wish her, may all the lanterns be lit, the candy be given, the wine be drank, and the best night of spooky merriment for you on your special day. And may your mom party hard. Yes.
There will be much Exorcist 3 being watched. It will be fabulous.
Now, do you watch it more than once?
Yes, now that I have 2 versions of it, I watch them both.
Yeah,
I watch it multiple times a year too.
She's working on a dissertation. It's called The Exorcist and Me. You know.
Do you sometimes do a watch like all the Exorcists in a row?
She could.
No.
But I mean, I could, but Legion was technically based off of a different concept, so it doesn't. I mean, it ties in with The Exorcist the way they have the movie set up, but it's not exactly something where you have to be like, follow this. Like there's one mention of like, oh, that McNeil kid, in it. So it does reference the priest from The Exorcist, but the exorcism on her. But it you don't have to have them together. You could watch it standalone and be perfectly fine. So, and it's pretty safe for your kids to watch because there is no direct on-screen violence whatsoever. There's just some implied violence and weird moments with Samuel L. Jackson, who they voice over. Actually, his one line in the movie, they use somebody else to speak it, and Fabio is an angel in a dream sequence.
No, I can't do it.
It's kind of weird. There's a lot of strange cameos in the movie, but yeah. George C. Scott, Brad Dourif being all raw themselves. It's great.
Okay. Well, enjoy that, Carrie.
I will.
We just wanted to wish you a happy.
Thank you.
And Drew, do you want to go over next week's guest?
No, Carrie. I'm going to have Carrie do that one because that was her fine. So, Carrie, do you want to?
Yeah, give me just a second. I know. Okay. Next week we're going to have on Thatcher E. Cleveland, who he has a number of novels out, Shadows of the Past, which I just read, and then a series called the Winston and Churchill Urban Fantasy series. He's also put out the comics Mytholocalypse and the Grim Reaper, which is what we're going to be covering. He currently has a Kickstarter up for that, and it's basically what you'd expect. It's about the Grim Reaper, only stoned. So it's going to be a fun little thing, and we might send them over to the Token with the Dead guys too, because they have kind of similar ideas in hand. But yep, he's going to be an awesome guest to have on. We get to talk to him about the comics and maybe about some of his books too. Very good horror writer, and don't know too much about the comics, but what I've seen I like.
There you go.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Right.
Okay. Well, I want to thank everybody for watching this fine evening. For me, you know how to find me. Just Google me. But more importantly, check out our YouTube page. We've hit, we're over 650 subscribers right now. And we're doing a test right now, which is absolutely insane. We have a new video dropping every 3 hours, 24/7. Every 3 hours. We're going to do this for probably a little over a week. And but yeah, tons of new content is up on our YouTube page. So head on over there to subscribe, and we'll kick it over to Carrie.
Hey everybody. If you want to find me, go to Carrie Sanders on Facebook. If you see a crow judging you, that would be me. From there, you can find my author page. You can see my stuff here for Splash Pages. You can find links to the Owlite Network that I am also on every Sunday and Monday, and sometimes other days. Sundays we do random shows. The next one is going to be our Halloween, it's a little late celebration, where we're going to tell familial stories, because ancestry and such is what we celebrate during Halloween. And but that will be next Sunday. And on Monday we will be watching The Tomb of the Terrible. I am making everybody watch horrible Amityville spinoffs. And this week's is Amityville Emmanuel, which is supposed to kind of be based off of the 1974 much repeatedly spun off Emmanuel, which was kind of an erotica movie. But according to the person who suggested it to us, there is nothing sexy or good at all about this movie. So we're gonna suffer through that, and you can come and join us in our suffering if you would like to. And that's it. I'm gonna celebrate my birthday. I'm gonna be older, and I'll have to start hunting out the grays. But yeah,
Age is yeah, it's only a number, Carrie. Only a number.
Yeah, Carrie.
I got carded. Okay, I do have to say I got carded when we were at Trader Joe's the other day, and they were giving out samples of different wines. And I went over to get a sample of this wine that I wanted to buy, and they did card me. I was like, bless your soul.
Bless your soul, but damn it to hell. Bless your soul, but you didn't give me wine, so damn you. Hey, everybody. I'm Drew. So I'm clearly laying down, so it means the show is about to end, which means I'm exhausted. So if you need me, you can find me on Facebook, Ghostbusterman 1984, as that fucking link down there says. There's a lot we're working on here. The rest of the year is already booked, and we have some great stuff coming up. So if you are not subscribed, change that. And if you are glad with your service, then renew for another year. I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, you reach out to me. I'll get back to you. That's just basically it. Otherwise, sleep. Yeah, sleep and happy Halloween.
Sleep is good. With that, we'll
Sleep is good. Happy Halloween, everybody. Bye.
Night, everybody.